Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wolberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can sound like a pro and gain more podcast fans. Today's tip is how to introduce your topic. Call it your episode intro. I've covered intros before and will most likely do it again because your intro is crucial for success. You may have only 30 seconds to grab people's attention, and that's if you're lucky. Let's face it, we're living in an ADD world. I'll admit, I'm one of those impatient listeners, and if you don't hook me in the first 30 seconds, I'm out of there.
See ya,
bye.
Gonzo.
On to the next podcast.
Don't waste my time.
That's not what you want. So today I'm going to tell you the 3 things your topic intro must have if you want to hang on to your listener. Before I tell you the best way to introduce your topic, let me be clear. There are a couple of parts to your podcast intro, each being crucial. There's the podcast intro, as in the intro that doesn't change each episode, and it might be produced or not. I talked about that in episode 4 and in episode 23. Then there's the topic intro, which I'm talking about today, and if applicable, your guest intro. Your number one job when you introduce your topic is to hook your listener. Make your listener care about your subject. Heck, make them feel that if they don't listen, they're missing out on crucial information. It comes back to what's in it for your listener. Your episode intro should be answering the question, why should I listen to this podcast? Here's how you do that. In 3 simple steps. I call it the 3 P's of an intro. Pain, personal, and promise. Number 1 is pain. Acknowledge their pain point and how they might be suffering. This can work in nearly any niche podcast. Weight loss, business, motivation, religion. It's why you chose this topic in the first place. To help, right? Once you've identified their struggle, move on. Number 2, get personal. You've probably gone through that pain you just described in the previous sentence. So go back to the beginning. Share your own experience. Go back to when you faced that challenge for the first time. Say you have a mechanic podcast and your episode revolves around the carburetor. Paint that picture of the first carburetor you took apart, then didn't have a clue as to how to put it back together. And get specific too. Throw in how discouraged you felt in that moment. Humbling yourself is just one more way to relate to your listener. If your listener hear themselves in you, they'll stay tuned to find out how it ends. Maybe your episode topic was inspired by an email you got from a listener or a Facebook group comment or tweet. Read it out loud or have a clip of them on your show to humanize that issue. Your listener will become more invested and stick around. Again, to find out how it ends. Remember, you're trying to make your listener care about your issue. Number 3, the promise. Your promise is the part of your intro where you tell them how you will solve their problem. You did listen to episode 32, The Art of a Good Tease, right? Perfect. This is where you use your tease. This is what they'll be sticking around for. The fix. And the fact that you've been there already makes you the perfect person to be able to help, or at least introduce a guest that has all the answers. From there, you transition into the actual meat of your subject. One thing to be careful about when it comes to your topic intro, though, is how much time you spend on it. You don't want your listeners shouting at you, "Get on with it!" after you've already hooked them. Keep it moving. My podcast is only 5 minutes. I don't have time for a 2-minute setup. Make it proportionate to the length of a typical episode. If you're going to talk to your guest for 30 or 40 minutes, then it's okay to spend a couple of minutes on your intro and spend some time crafting this introduction. Your subject will have more weight with the right setup, creating more value for your listener. So remember the 3 P's the next time you're writing the intro to your next show. Pain, personal, and promise. Hook them hard by identifying their pain point. Reel them in with a story or experience, making it clear why you or your guest is uniquely positioned to present this topic to them. Then tease them with a takeaway. What's in it for them? Once you get them in the boat and you remove the hook, you kabonk them over the head with a half hour of great content. You throw them in the cooler, and then when you get home, you fry them up with a little tartar sauce and lemon, then a couple of roasted potatoes on the side, or if you don't have them, tater tots make a great substitute. And I hope that's just the tip you need. When it comes to your podcast, the 1 P that I can help you with is your performance. I know all your friends and family think your podcast is great, but let's be honest, they're not your real listeners. So if you really want to know what your podcast sounds like, I'll tell you in one of my coaching sessions. I'll cover the good, but also tackle the parts of your podcast that may be turning off or turning away listeners. And we can fix that before the next time you hit record. Connect with me at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Walbert. See ya!